This episode analyzes public statements, published letters, and reporting already in the public domain. This discussion is commentary and analysis, not accusation. Allegations referenced remain unproven, and all individuals mentioned are presumed innocent unless verified by official legal proceedings. In an attempt to discredit her critics, Guyana's Minister of Tourism said some damning and potentially defamatory things about GHK Lall and Demerara Waves. Did the minister cross the line? That's what today's podcast is about. We'll unpack what she said in what appeared to be an attempt to lash out at Lall and the newspaper agency. We will also examine why the minister may have taken this route, as she seeks to defend herself against corruption allegations which were leveled against her by the opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed. This is the Final Takeaway Podcast, where we bring you the story beyond the headlines and add context that can change the story the way you know it. Are you ready? Let's get to it, and do listen to the end to get the full story. When a government official faces allegations, the natural response is to defend themselves. That's normal, it's expected, and it's a part of public life. But what happens when a defense turns into a counterattack, targeting critics, questioning their credibility, and linking them to serious, unverified claims? That's exactly what we're seeing this week in Guyana. On January 14, 2026, the Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Susan Rodrigues, published a letter to the editor in the Guyana Chronicle. The article was intended to respond to corruption allegations raised by opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed. But instead of stopping there, it took a dark turn when Rodrigues pivoted. She launched a counter-offensive against Demerara Waves, the media outlet that reported the allegations, and against GHK Lall, a journalist and commentator and former chair of the Guyana Gold Board. Inside the explosive letter, Rodrigues linked Lall to allegations of pedophilia and questioned his academic and professional background. Rodrigues' attack on GHK Lall came one day after Lall wrote a commentary in the Village Voice newspaper. In summary, Lall expressed concerns over the dismissive manner in which President Irfan Ali handled matters concerning questions about the minister's properties and other assets. This afternoon, we're analyzing this letter, what it says, what it implies, and why it matters not to make judgments, but to understand the power dynamics, public perception, and legal ethical boundaries. Let's lay out the facts first by starting with the original allegation. Opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed raised questions about Rodrigues' acquisition of assets that allegedly cost over $500,000 and which is fully paid for. Following calls for an investigation and her resignation, President Irfan Ali defended her publicly, saying the assets were declared legal and the process was transparent. Next, on January 13, 2026, Lall wrote a piece captioned, "Minister's Asset Explanation, President's Acceptance, neat as neurosurgery." I'm bringing up a screenshot, so you are welcome to read along with me. In that commentary piece, Lall questioned Ali's treatment of the allegations when he said this, quote, "Bluntly, what the president did with and for the minister reads like one of those Guyana police investigations of itself. More bluntly, Minister Rodrigues' matter does not call for political eyes. It demands a reputable, independent mind to delve into her situation and issue a report on the threads, connections, and findings," end quote. Let's now examine what Rodrigues' response was. The minister published a letter to the editor the next day, January 14, 2026. In the letter, she frames her critics as the real problem. She argued that if scrutiny is warranted for her, it should also apply to those who criticize her, particularly GHK Lall. In the letter, Rodrigues specifically claims these things. 1. Lall has unresolved public allegations, including pedophilia. And for those of you who do not know what pedophilia means, it means a sexual attraction or misconduct with kids. So that is a serious allegation. She also said he allegedly holds a financial stake in Demerara Waves, the same outlet reporting on her. The other thing she says is Lall's professional and educational credentials are unclear. I'm bringing up a screenshot of that letter so you can see for yourself and read along with me. And we're going to focus specifically on the part where she links him to pedophilia. But I'm going to read a good section of it so you can have some context. So here's what she says. In that spirit, I believe the following public allegations and unanswered questions surrounding GHK Lall also deserve similar attention and investigation so that he too may have the opportunity to clear his name. She also wrote, GHK Lall has been dogged by allegations of pedophilia, which he has repeatedly refused to publicly address. His tenure at the Guyana Gold Board was clouded by allegations of corruption and questionable practices, including the granting of a gold export license to a dubious company of which Travis Chase was a director at the time. GHK Lall publicly claimed that a dossier on gold smuggling in Guyana, provided by the United States, did not contain the names Azruddin Mohamed or his father. This claim was publicly repudiated by former Minister Raphael Trotman, who stated that the document did in fact include both names. She continues, it has been alleged that GHK Lall is a part owner of Demerara Waves News Talk Radio, having paid a substantial sum to acquire an ownership stake. She also went on to attack his academic and professional credential, but we're not going to focus on that at this point. As you soak up all of what you just heard, we're going to move into the discussion about this letter. We're going to try and understand everything in context. Rodrigues presents these claims as a part of a broader argument about selective media scrutiny, suggesting that Demerara Waves is biased and inconsistent in its coverage. The public sees a clear pattern: defense, counterattack, and then challenge to media integrity. Let's talk more about the counterattack. There are several reasons this letter is significant. 1. Escalation of the narrative. Rodrigues moves from defending herself to attacking her critics. This is a deliberate strategy that can shift public attention from her assets to the credibility of others. The other thing is perception of institutional power. As a sitting minister, Rodrigues' words carry weight. When she repeats unverified allegations, even if it was framed as questions, the audience may perceive them as fact. Also, by publicly calling out Demerara Waves, she signals that media oversight is itself under attack. And last but not least, she links individuals to sensitive allegations. And just to recap, the main names mentioned are GHK Lall and Travis Chase. Even though Travis Chase's name was mentioned in passing, however, it is still there. Put together, this approach by Rodrigues is a high-stakes communication strategy. It defends Rodrigues' position, it challenges opponents, and it pressures the media. But here is where things could take a turn against Rodrigues. Her statement in that letter comes with legal and ethical risks. Here is where things starts to get risky. The allegations against Lall. When it comes to the suggestion that he is involved in pedophilia or that he's a pedophile, she did not publicize any verified legal record to back up her claims. This is extremely serious. It is extremely serious and damaging. And don't be surprised if you hear there's a lawsuit coming. So you may be asking, why does this even matter? Linking someone to criminal or sexual misconduct without verifiable evidence enters the realm of defamation. The letter is therefore as much a public relations move as it is a counterattack, but it must be read carefully through a legal lens. In short, the counterattack may have succeeded in shifting the conversation, but it has also fueled questions about transparency and governance. With all that being said, what can we conclude? Susan Rodrigues' letter is not just a defense. It's a counter-offensive aimed at media, commentators, and perceived political opponents. It shows how high-stakes politics uses communication to shape how the public views a particular issue involving government ministers or even the president. But there is a cost. By linking GHK Lall to unverified, serious allegations, namely pedophilia, and by challenging a media outlet's credibility, the letter may have entered the realm of defamation, more particularly libel. For the public, the most important questions remain. Why was the counterattack necessary? Why was an independent investigation into the accumulation of Susan Rodrigues' wealth not considered? And does this approach strengthen or undermine trust in government? The final takeaway is this. In politics, the story is rarely just about facts. It's about how power responds to scrutiny, how trust is maintained or lost, and how narratives are shaped in the public eye. And as we watch this unfold, one question lingers. When a defense becomes an attack, who ultimately bears the burden of accountability? You've been listening to the Final Takeaway podcast, bringing you the story beyond the headlines and adding context that can change the story as you know it. If you found this analysis insightful, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining us. I can't wait to be back here with you on the next episode of the Final Takeaway podcast.